How's everybody doing? Good? My question to you guys when I first came here, and I came here a couple weeks ago, I went to the Reno conference, was can you garden in your state? And okay, I know, because I've seen your gardens, but that's kind of a rhetorical question. You didn't really, but I drove down to Phoenix in January with my son. He buys dirt bikes for a living and sells them. He does really good with it, and he bought a bunch of dirt bikes down in Phoenix. So we drove through, and so I had a little picture, and this is a picture by Winnemucca, and I won't do the Johnny Cash song. I've been everywhere, but this is actually, you know, we drove through here, and true story, I fell asleep for like an hour or two, and I woke up, and I'm like, oh my God, we haven't moved. And you go, no, we've moved. And I'm like, that's the same thing I've been looking at for when I went to sleep 2 hours ago. So I know there's more, but I'll just do a little slideshow of kind of what kind of stuff I saw. This is Nevada. This is all Nevada. Wait. Yeah, and there's that. So this is Oregon, okay? When I'm able to speak all over the country, and people think, oh yeah, I know Oregon, I seen Portlandia and stuff. You guys name your chickens and all that stuff. So they think this is Oregon. Well, back at you, this is what we think of you guys. So right there, CSI. Okay. All right. In Reno, I did a Reno 911 picture of Lieutenant Jim Dangle, but. Also, people think of us, this is our typical house in Oregon. That is very highly offensive, and that's not true. Here's a picture of my house right there. So yeah. Don't I wish? No, it's not true. Okay, so a dose of Oregon reality. You think Oregon is so awesome and we can grow anything. I know when you put a shovel in the ground here, it goes clank, kind of. But for Oregon, you know, 2/3 of our state is like that too, as well. So we do have the Willamette Valley, the I-5 corridor, but these are actual Google pictures of Oregon, in eastern Oregon. Lots and lots of them. Here's my favorite, right there. That's all, eastern Oregon is like that, right? So we have a lot of the same struggles that you, and just you can grow anything anywhere, you just need help, right? I mean, if Matt can grow stuff on Mars, you guys can grow stuff here. He grew poop potatoes. It's a true story. Anyway, back up a little bit. The current state of school food. When as Katrina told you all, I was a school food service director for the better part of 32 years. I was kind of that crazy food service director who was very passionate about getting local food into the cafeteria as well as school garden produce into the cafeteria. And so in my last school district was that I worked at was Eugene School District. That's where the University of Oregon is. I know, I'm an OSU Beaver fan, so it was hard. But if you know anything about Eugene, it's very, very progressive. I had a parent group I worked with. They were very adamant about not only everything being local and fresh, but non-GMO. Local to the true story wasn't Oregon to them, but it was Lane County. So they wanted everything on the menu to be sourced from our county. They were very serious about it. So I would go to the parent meetings, and my personal philosophy is I don't like to say no. The answer might be no, but how can we get to yes? So I would work with my parent community. I started rubbing shoulders with them. I started volunteering in the school gardens. One thing led to another. I became a master gardener. This job opened up with the state. They were looking at somebody with school food experience that knew the culture of principals, facilities, that knew how to get school garden produce into the cafeteria. So it was a really good fit, and it's kind of like late in life. I knew this was 4 or 5 years ago. I just quit my job and did this job. It was a real leap of faith, but it's like one of those things you know with every fiber of your being that this is what you're meant to do, and it was my calling. And I thought, this is great. all the other food service directors will be like me. I can just, we can have school gardens everywhere and everyone will love me. Yeah. Anyway, more about that later. But here's a picture of one of those the meetings I had with my parent group. So, actual real picture. They weren't that, like when I'd go to a grocery store and they'd say, hi, I'm Rick. And they'd say, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I'm the food service director. And they'd go, oh, great, chicken nuggets, awesome. And now I go and say, I'm the school garden coordinator for Oregon. And they're like, oh my God, you're so awesome. So I'm the popular guy now. So it's really nice. So I don't have to deal with that so much anymore. I'm one of them. Hey, everything I talk about kind of is going to be on, I have a website that I maintain. It's the Oregon Farm to School website. There's a big, long string for that, but all you have to do is in your Googling machine put Oregon School Gardens or Oregon Farm to School and you'll get there. And there's lots of cool stuff on there. I also have cards. I have a big stack of cards with the address on there, so you can bug me for those. But there's lots of neat stuff on there. Not to belabor the fact, some of this was a little refresher on John this morning, but yeah, school gardens aren't new. This is an actual Oregon school garden in Portland, 1919. You can see the kids in their petticoats and their knickers tending to their school garden, and that was before the National School Lunch Program. That's what we had to do. And John already shared the posters. I'm not going to go into that, but my charge on my very first day of school was I wanted schools to be noted. And my first question was, how many school gardens are there in Oregon? And people go, this was my first 5 minutes of my job. And they said, oh, we don't know. And what's more, you can't know. Don't try to find out. It's too hard. So don't do it. And I'm like, never tell me I can't do anything. So I went about to start calling every school in Oregon. There's 1,300 schools. So I started at Amity and went to Yoncalla. And I would call the main line, and I would talk to the school secretary, admin person, and I'd say, hi, I'm Rick with the Oregon Department of Education, and they'd go, shh, Department of Ed's on the phone, shh. And it's just me, but they don't know that. So I'd say, hey, do you have a school garden? And they'd go, what's a school garden? True story, a lot of them. And they might have had a school garden in the back, but the secretary might not know that. And they would say, well, we have rhodioes in the ground and fuchsia. No, do you have like carrots and food? Oh, no, or yes. Well, I'd get a yes or no, and then if they had a yes, I would find a contact for that person at the school garden. And so the end result was this. So we have 620 school gardens as of Friday. Thursday, we grew 2 more. This picture is probably about a year old, so it's a little more orangey than it is right now. But at the time, I was the only guy that in the country that knew, without a doubt, every school in our state that either had a garden or didn't. So I was pretty excited about that. And actually, if you look at all of our counties, and like I said, it's a little out of date, but we only have 1 county right now that does not have a school garden, Gilliam. We're working on it. There's actually one in this big giant one now, Lake County. So, but we're at 620 school gardens right now. But as a result of that, I got calls from all over the country saying, oh my God, how did you do that? Survey the food service directors, and not necessarily the food service director might not have something to do with the garden. I would suggest pulling some interns together and doing that. And one of the people that called me was Katrina and stuff. So I was proud to announce that we birthed another state. So as I've seen in some of the other presentations, so Nevada has joined our group as knowing pretty much all of their school gardens. Also, you guys have 2 towns in Nevada, so there's that. But anyway, so there is that. But yeah, get some more people in your state, and then we'll get some more. So anyway. Yeah. So my thing is with getting school garden produce in the cafeteria. In Oregon, you can do that. When I first started, that wasn't the case. We had a moratorium on that because it was deemed that it wasn't safe. So I went about to how to do that, so I'll get to that in a second. But what I found out that I was thinking that, well, since I was able to do that as a school garden or as a school food service director, that all the other school food service directors would just be like, oh, no problem. So that is not the case. Not at all. I know. It's shocking. Not all are wired like I was. Most food service directors want to meet the regulations, which are harder and harder to meet every year. And they want to break even, and they want to go home at the end of the day. And farm to school and school garden can be perceived as being more work for a food service. I don't believe it is, but you know, like if on some levels, if you're bringing in dirty produce with dirt clods, that's not how it comes from the Cisco or the Rykoff truck or whatever. So there is that. But if there's so many benefits that outweigh that, usually people get over that really, really quick. I mean, when they start getting pats on the back and media coverage of how awesome they are because they're incorporating local produce and school garden produce, they get over that really quick. So what's the law in Oregon? That's Jude Law, everybody. For all those guys know who that is, right in there. So like in Oregon, the law is for processed items like poultry, beef, canned items, shellfish, eggs, that has to be USDA inspected in order to buy them and bring them into your cafeteria. In Oregon, the law is produce isn't regulated yet, but it has to come from a reputable source. So it's up to interpretation what reputable is. So my thing is, well, how can we make school garden produce reputable? So the health inspector, he's the guy that comes in in Oregon, they're contracted with the National School Lunch Program to come in twice a year. Is that the case down here? The once a year? Twice a year. So, okay, National School Lunch Program. They're kind of the ending, the last word on what's safe. And they typically don't care if the food comes from the Cisco truck or the school garden. They just want to make sure that the food is handled correctly. So again, I'm speaking in Oregon. You know, Oregon. I had to get through this, and that's what they thought. So, and again, I know Ashley has a school garden food safety protocol, and I want you to refer to her for them. But what I did in Oregon is I went ahead and I did this, and I consulted, and this took a year to write, and I consulted with those folks as well as people from all over the country. But we did a school garden food safety documentation and training program where we documented more. It was more of a system where we can show our county health officials that we're washing our hands when we're collecting produce, that our baskets are sanitizable, check. And our county health officials have loved this, so they've really liked it. So that's how we are able to tackle that. And again, I would suggest you not download this. It's available for free, but I would suggest you to go to Ashley for Nevada's version. Go bug her, not me. So school gardens, I heard this a lot today, actually, that we can't grow enough produce in our school garden because we don't have enough that our school garden can produce for our whole school. Have you guys heard that before? This is a school garden, next shot is a school garden media day we had in Eugene, right there. Not really, I Googled like media frenzy, but true story, we had what they call a half hotel pan or a shotgun pan. You can't really say shotgun in schools, so a hotel pan of school garden lettuce. They called me up one day and said, hey, we're gonna have a school garden produce day. It's gonna be Friday. And the key to this is not just throwing the food out there, but telling the kids on the morning announcements, in the newsletters home that Friday is our school garden day or whatever. And every kid showed up that day and they all got like 2 little pieces of lettuce and it was gritty and gross. But they all got something. We had in Eugene 2 TV stations, the newspaper and NPR show up on that day for a half pan of lettuce. So same deal, Portland Public, we had a kale and pear salad, and it was kale from their school garden. Everyone showed up. I was talking with the food service director. We had a display behind us on this cart of unwashed kale bunches and pears. We turned around and it was gone, and there was kids eating the kale down to the rind. And we're like, gross, who does that? So it's not enough to throw the food out there, but if you teach kids about the food, they tend to devour it. So if you just throw out healthy food, so if you teach them about it, it's from your school garden, and you market it, it happens. So my big message, and I said this in Reno, is school board. They are the best thing ever. I highly encourage you guys to tap into these people. Who here has been to a school board meeting? Aren't they they're awesome and fun. They're so exciting. But the thing about a school board meeting is that these guys have to be somewhere every week. And they come back and they go around the room. They say, Johnson, where did you go this week? And they said, I went to XYZ Elementary, and I watched lunch or whatever. So invite them to your stuff. The other thing is, in Oregon, I know it was the case that everybody can get like up to 2 minutes, and you can go up to the microphone and say your spiel about your school garden. Or better yet, what we did, we started doing, inviting our school board members to our gardens, and we take pictures, we do a presentation, asked to get on the agenda for 15 minutes, and we started saying, showing pictures of our kids and all the education that's key taking place. Like, well, we're aligning ourselves to next generation science standards or whatever it is. And then watch the school board members, they stand back and go, we have gardens? Our guys didn't even know, and now we have relationships with them. So that's the best thing that we've been able to do to get school garden positions paid for and stuff. So a lot of people have excuses for not having a garden. No space in interurban, like urban settings. Here's one in Portland. They don't have any space, but they have a fence line garden. They have little burlap sacks and stuff, Reiki Elementary up there. Another two urban schools, rooftop gardens, downtown Portland and out in West Lynn. And please, if you do this, make sure your infrastructure, your engineering can handle tons and tons of wet dirt on your roof. Important safety fact. This is one in Albany where I live, and this was that school I was talking about that the school board didn't even know there was gardens. Because we had a presentation, we grew 4 gardens within weeks after this. Everyone wanted to do it. This is a new ribbon cutting with our mayor. They had a band show up that day. It was like 90 degrees for Oregon. That was really hot, Western Oregon. But they made this in the front lawn, right in front of the school, because they wanted it to be a focal point. And luckily, the school garden coordinator is OCD, and there's not one weed anywhere. Because weeds grow in the Northwest, they just grow like crazy. It's not like, oh, nothing grows here. Stuff will grow if you just don't do anything. That's a problem. So, but her dad is a metal worker. They had an artist in residence do all the ceramic stuff in there. Each kid had a little ceramic piece that was floating around in the garden. But all the neighbors take care of that garden. They all look at it. So anyway, we have one of the cranberry school gardens on the coast. This is right outside of Pacific High School, Pacific City. One of the kids' dad owns this, and it's like right on the property almost, and they have educational things going on there. Last year we had a big drought and they weren't able to flood that, and I think it was a chicken farm last year, but hopefully it'll be back this year. We have cold issues too. This is a couple blocks from my Capitol building in Salem, and you can see the pumpkins there. That was late fall. And so we had kale and stuff growing all winter. For us, our winters, we're shut down. So we have to have a lot of things like cold frames and things like that. So I know here it's either scorching hot or freezing cold. So preaching to the choir there. I suggest like starting small, and like people that say, I don't even have anything, try a windowsill garden. Try a little radish seeds on felt in a CD case and transfer them to a coffee can on your window and start there, and then go to a raised bed. Just start small. Sisters High School in Central Oregon near Bend, it's very cold all the time, and so they have, it's not this, I Googled this, but they have an indoor hydroponics thing, which you've heard, I've heard things today, but that's a really good opportunity to get fresh herbs and lettuce right in your cafeteria if it's too cold somewhere else. So lots of things to do. Oh, I've heard, oh, it's too much money. I can't raise enough money to have a garden in my community. My community's too poor. This is Molalla High School outside of Portland. They were our 500th school garden. They called me and said, we're going to do a garden. And I just go, oh, good. I've been stuck on $4.99 for a long time. You're 500th. You walk into their school and it's painted, "Welcome to Oregon 500th Garden," you know, and it's huge. And this lady here, her name is Kelly. She raised $30,000 in like 3 months, just by walking down the main street and knocking on all the poor families' houses and all the businesses and said, "Hi, my name is Kelly, and how much money are you going to give me today?" And yeah, and you have to know her. There's a couple legislators in the back. They came over for a school garden event, and they were actually even trying to be reelected, and they were trying to get money. And she goes, "So how much can I put you down for?" And put him on the spot. And this one guy, the bald guy in the back, goes, "I'll give you 500, and so will my friend here," you know, the other guy. And so she got $1,000 just right there for asking, and she doesn't take no for an answer. You just, I had to give money to her. So, well, they built this in one day. From all the community came over, and this is a big giant courtyard in their high school that's all secure. But they had people come over with backhoes and all that, and donated lumber and stuff. So, yeah. One thing that we do is, as gatherings like this, we used to do an yearly gathering of our farm to school garden network that was about 40 people. But when I had the map going and I had all these contacts of all the gardens, we invited everybody. And so we have an annual meeting like this every year. We keep outgrowing our venues. So we're currently at 350, like you guys are right now. This was our first year, and like we are at 250. And the other thing we did after this to be even more united, we have people that are sitting next to each other and go, "I didn't know there was a school garden right next to me," or whatever. We started doing these regional school garden hubs. There's a picture up here. In my community where I live, I just had this idea, well, what if I emailed all the school gardens in one neighborhood and brought them all together, and they didn't know each other. We started meeting regularly. And now they're best friends. They go on field trips together. We plan school board meetings, presentations together. So we start doing these, and I have all these school garden hubs all over Oregon. And because of this reason, we've grown our gardens even more. Like I said, in Albany, we've had 5 more started since we started these hubs. So anyway. Getting short on time, so I'm just going to keep going through here. One of our biggest challenges is, our challenges are the same as yours. We don't have paid school garden positions, although we're getting closer with that with our school board outreach. We have schools that have orchards. This was taken years ago. These are really mature trees right now. We have indoor hydroponics areas. We have full-on. This is one elementary school that has a 3-acre CSA garden that produces thousands of pounds of food every week or whatever. So they do a really good job. That's in Oregon City. That's a cheeseburger. And then I was able to, I had the privilege of going to this great state. This is up in Reno. And we went to a bunch of schools here, and I'm not even going to try. I know that was Carson High, and I don't remember all the names here. And then, I was able to see the awesome school gardens here. You guys really have, I mean, it's like there's no dirt here. You have to make your own. You have to compost. It's either freezing cold, or flaming hot. You have to shade. So the gardens you guys have, you guys are resilient, and you are like determined to make it go. And I have seen awesome stuff here. So there's you guys. So yeah, so some of your gardens here, and wait, I did write them down. So Desert Oasis, Decker, McWilliams, and Crestwood. Okay. So I saw those on, and I saw lots of pictures of these today too. So anyway. And so I think in closing, I have a couple of things. The other thing I wanted to talk about is money and grants. So keep, supporting your state staff to work on things. One thing that we started, we asked for, what was it? I think it was like $30 million And the state said, okay, you can have $200,000. So that was 2 biennia ago. They gave us a $200,000 grant. And basically 80% of that was to buy Oregon-grown or Oregon-processed food for our cafeterias. And then 20% of that was for education to teach them about that. After that, this last biennia got increased to $1.2 million. And then they gave us 3.3 more, so now we're at 4.5 million. So yeah, 4.5 million. So now we have the 80% for the food is now non-competitive. It goes to all of our schools. They could buy Oregon-grown or Oregon-processed food. And that has some challenges too, because people just buy whatever, you know, like sometimes it's more processed bread, which wasn't what we were intending to do. But I'm able to, as far as an evaluation piece, I'm actually, I know every single penny and what they're buying, apples, pears, peas, or whatever. And the other thing is the other 20% of this is a competitive part. So you give out to schools so they can teach them about the food. So and so it's supposed to work really well together. So my thing to you guys, my advice is think big, start small. In Reno I said think small, start big, but I got it down this time. My first thing is define what you want to define who you are, define your players. You guys have already done that. You know your school gardens. You might want to create some more towns so you can have more gardens. But start, so you guys know that, check that off, define where you are, who you are. Then network, you guys already have that, you have the big group. Now my thing is maybe start in fragmenting that and working together as neighborhoods. So small hubs. Then do stuff. So figure out what that is, if that's your farmer markets, if it's your CSAs, if it's bringing food into the cafeteria, but you have to report, you have to tell people what you're doing. You have to invite your papers, invite your legislature, invite your school board members to what you're doing so they know what's going on. And then once you have those buddies, you can develop relationships. Now you have school board members. We had a school board member show up to one of our regional hubs, and we're introducing each other, and he goes, yeah, my name is Vince, I'm a school board member. And I was like, oh, geez. And he said, what do you guys want from us? And they were like, I don't know. And I was like, tell me you want a paid position. And oh yeah, we would like a paid position. He goes, well, come and ask. He goes, we might not give you a full FTE, but we'll give you something. That never used to happen. So develop relationships. Like now you have a buddy on the school board and he's looking out for you. So, and then whatever you do, we had a school district say once, true story, that we don't like school gardens because they're fluffy, they're just pretty, nothing happens in them, and they don't help our graduation rates or anything. So now we have anything you do, we have a big banner. It says this relates to this standard. You guys are already doing that. You just have to show people and go up to a school board and tell them that so they go, oh wow. So there's nothing that happens in the school garden without relating to education. So. And then, like I said, ask. Ask for help. Ask your school board members. Just keep bringing the message. That's it. And then, read that. There will be a test on this after beers.